From the Corner Office is brought to you by Synovus Bank, championing business growth through trusted, relationship-driven banking throughout the Gulf Coast region. Karen Swagar has spent more than 2 decades with the Mosaic Company, a chemical mining and fertilizer giant. Her career has been marked by taking chances, stepping up to meet opportunities, and doing the right things by her team and colleagues. The Business Observer writes often about big companies like Mosaic and interesting leaders like Karen, both in print and online. For more, subscribe. Go to businessobserverfl.com. Hello, and welcome to the Business Observer's From the Corner Office podcast. I'm Mark Gordon, managing editor of the Business Observer. Today's guest is Karen Swagar, Executive Vice President of Operations for the Mosaic Company. Karen, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. Happy to be here this morning.
Excited to talk to you. We have never had somebody from the Mosaic Company on From the Corner Office podcast, so I'm excited to get to know you, your career, your leadership approach, and also the company as well. Karen, before we get into that, we're gonna throw some this or that questions at you, some rapid fire, get our audience to know you a little bit, the kind of leader you are. Okay, we're gonna start. You ready? I was asking people ready, but you have to be ready because you're on. This or that leadership edition, vision or execution, which is more important to you, vision or execution?
Today, execution.
Execution. Data or intuition?
Data.
A lot of people are on the fence on that, right? It's as you chose data because I bet you're just swarmed with data today.
Swarmed with data. I'm an engineer by education, so that matters as well. I would say it's situational, though. I mean, there are times when experience will even point you to the right data to look at, and of course, I always caution to make sure your data is good, right?
Yes, especially in the AI era. Consensus or decisiveness?
I would love it to be consensus. I think situationally, though, at times it has to be decisive.
Are you a coach or a challenger?
I'm a coach.
Optimism or realism?
I'm a realist.
A little bit of a pause. I think you want to be an optimist, right? I detected that.
Well, I think there's seasons to that as well.
Yes.
And I would also argue that while I do believe I have optimism, I do believe that I like to look to better things, better future, etc. I think being grounded in realism allows you to face into situations and deal with present times. So that's why I probably lean that direction.
Yes, I get it. Speed or perfection as a leader? Speed or perfection? Speed.
Definitely speed.
And hire for skill or attitude?
Definitely attitude.
I think that's the one universal answer. I think we've done this about 8 or 9 times, and the one universal answer is everybody wants to hire for attitude. Why? I mean, it sounds obvious, but for you personally, Karen, why hire for attitude over skill?
I think the attitude really can dictate performance and resilience, and I think that also the attitude will allow you to gain the skill over time, even if you don't have it.
I think that's the most important thing, right? If you hire somebody that wants it and wants to go after it and is willing to learn and has that attitude, you can hopefully teach those skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Karen, tell us a little bit about Mosaic, kind of what the company does and what your role there is within the organization.
Sure. Mosaic's one of the largest miner and manufacturer of fertilizers, and we're a global company, so we operate in several geographies: the U.S., obviously, Canada, Brazil, Peru. We have distribution businesses in India and China, and our role is to produce products to help people grow crops so that they can eat, which in my opinion is a very noble mission and something that I'm very passionate about myself. My role within Mosaic is as the EVP of operations, is I oversee our global mining and manufacturing business, as well as all of our engineering and construction capital project parts of our business, our environmental health and safety part of the business, and anything really technical from a process side that we do, process improvement, new product development, as far as the technical aspects of that.
And you said you have an engineering background, and you've
I
been
do.
there for some time. As I've seen, you've rose through different positions within the organization.
Yes, I'm a lifer. I started in 1994.
1994. Okay, excellent. So you started when you were 6 years old. Good for you. You got that engineering degree. I like it. Awesome. Um, but so you've been there, 30 years as you moved up. What kind of, well, I guess two questions. What clicked for you that, hey, this is a company I want to be at? And then also, what are some things that you did to set yourself up to succeed and sort of grow in the organization, in the company?
It's a funny story how I wound up here. And I'm from Michigan originally, and the company was wise enough to invite me for a plant visit in January when it was 35 degrees below zero. So it started with a free trip to Florida in the middle of winter for a starving college student, right? And then I got here and I did not expect that I was going to move to Florida and join this company. And the people were just fantastic. I just they were very passionate about what they did. They loved what they did. And frankly, as an engineer, when I came into I went to a mine to start with, and I was fascinated by this very large, intense equipment doing all of this work in order to bring this product to market. And so between the people and the excitement of something big was really what drove me here. Uh, Probably one of my first jobs within the company was a shift supervisor. I was the first female shift supervisor for
First
this
female
site
shift supervisor. Wow. On a factory, a floor, like
on a mine, in
on
a
a mine.
phosphate mine.
Wow.
Yes. And so that was interesting and fun. I mean, part of it was winning the team over and learning how to run a crew of hourly employees in the middle of the night, and really developing the relationships to enable that team to perform and to perform to their peak potential. And it was fun. I mean, it was a job, of course, but to get a few of them together and say, how can we do this faster? How can we make this pit changeover go better so that we get more uptime, and how can we improve the process, was a lot of fun. And I couldn't do it myself. I didn't know enough how to do it myself. I had to learn and rely on the people in the team to help me. So they let me run the drag line, the big mining machine. They
That's
let
so
me
cool.
run the pit, and I
Yeah.
learned a tremendous amount.
Yeah. That must be really cool. You grew up in Michigan and you're an engineer and you're coming here and you're using big stuff. That must have been a neat experience for a young professional.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And I want to go back for a second. You mentioned something that you came here and you love the people. I think that's like a so important element of attracting good employees is to have other, we talked about hiring for skill or attitude. It's that cliche of rock stars want to work around rock stars, right? So did you feel that when you came here, like, hey, this is people that I could work with?
Absolutely, and it was all different levels of people. I mean, we
Yeah.
had some engineers, we had folks that grew up through the business and had worked there for many, many years, and so all the different personalities and all the different skill sets that could come together and build this fantastic team that not only had the expertise and capability, but had the desire to improve and really enjoyed working with each other.
Yeah.
And that's almost a formula for success
Sure.
regardless of what business you're in.
Yeah. And so you've grown in these different roles. I'm curious what advice you would give to other young people, it's not of young women, but just young people coming up in an organization. And maybe you've done that yourself at Mosaic, but to what advice do you give them to rise up in your career like you have?
I would say don't be afraid to learn as much as you can from everybody. You don't need to pretend to be an expert when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
And the best way to win people and to build influence is to learn from them and give them that respect of their knowledge. and become a sponge. And if you can do that, not only do you gain knowledge, but you gain the favor of people. You gain those relationships that frankly will help you along the way your entire career.
Yeah. Excellent. And sticking on that, as far as leaders, what is one leadership characteristic you feel like every leader should have and why?
Energy. And I will say that energy is contagious. And when you bring energy to the job, when you bring energy to the meeting, you bring energy to the day, you can lift others up and bring that energy to them as well. And so it's important for me. One of the things that I feel from others and know where you can build that energy in yourself, because these jobs are tough and you have to sustain through some very difficult times, and I think energy helps you do that. And is contagious. You bring everyone else up with you.
Yeah, so loosely related to that, how do you keep your energy up, or your energy, we talked about optimism, realism, your enthusiasm when things do get tough, when there are difficult situations at the company as a leader, people are looking, they're relying on you. They want to know, what does Karen think about this? How do you do that personally, keep that energy up?
I've gotten to know myself. I've
Yeah,
gotten to know when I need to lean in and when I need to step back, and I also know when I need to take a break. And that's important, because if you don't take care of yourself and you don't understand where those points are, you need to stop or you need to take a break, or you know what, I'm going to take a long weekend because I've got
yeah.
to refresh. It- I think a lot of times people don't recognize how important that is, because if you don't show up with energy, you don't show up ready to go, that's also very contagious.
Yes. Yeah, my wife and I have an only child who's 18. He's going to college in a couple of months. We're recording here in mid-July, and we were commenting the other day. He's starting to feel the anxiety a little bit, and we sort of feed off his mood, and we don't like it. Like when he's kind of cranky, grumpy, we're starting to feel it. And you're right, it that can be contagious. The moods that people have. Who's influenced your leadership style the most? Who in your life, Karen, has influenced your leadership style, and how and why?
It's tough to find just one. There's been I would say seasons of points in my career where people have varying degrees of influence. I've had some great leaders that I've worked for, some for extended amount of time. I would have to say that probably the most influential leader that I had that influenced my career was the one that gave me really candid feedback. And there's a lot of that's a skill set a lot of people don't have. They shy away from leaning into giving advice, giving feedback to people on how they can get stronger, get better, etc. And it was really that pivotal moment where this gentleman took the time to sit me down and say, "Listen, you may not see this, but this is what everyone else is saying, and it's holding you back." That was huge for me because I appreciated it. And so not only was the lesson in the feedback that he gave me and what a couple things that I could go work on to help my career, it was the realization that you don't do anybody any favors by not being very candid with feedback. You can do it respectfully. You can do it in a way where, people feel like they're being helped as opposed to harmed. But it's so important for that feedback flow to come, because we don't help our team or our people that report to us if we're not honest on areas that they can improve as well
Yeah.
as areas they do really well.
Yeah, and that's a good segue to another question I we ask a lot on From the Corner Office is, what is a piece of feedback that you received that was maybe difficult to hear at the time, but looking back, you learned a lot from?
I got a piece of feedback that I was too intense. And I know where it came from. I mean, as you can imagine, coming into a mining industry as a woman, 30 some years ago, and how difficult it was to really break in and feel like I was credible. Some of that was my own self-imposed, you have to fight your way, Karen, because you're the only woman here. Um, and a lot of it was very self-imposed, but I think I felt like I had to work harder. I felt like I had to be faster. I felt like I had to do those things, and it created an intensity that was intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't view me as an intimidating person, and so it's hard to hear. I like to think that I have a kindness about me. I have an empathy about me, but that was not what I was hearing, and so I got a coach. I worked on this, and what my coach told me was, you don't have to wholesale change your personality. Just dial that piece of it back a little bit,
Yeah.
and that was really good advice.
Yeah, because that's interesting that, well, one, that you had the sort of presence of mind and lack of ego to address it, and not, because there could be part of somebody that would say, "What do you mean I'm too intense?" Right? Like, and sort of want to push back against it.
Hmm. Well, true. And I think ego can be a trap in this
Yeah.
business. In any business, I think ego can be a trap. Nobody's perfect. We
Yeah.
we all are a work in progress, and
Yes.
it's the reality is if that is your reaction when you get feedback, you will not get any more.
Yeah.
That'll kill
Right.
that.
That's
And
that'll
it's a
be your answer. You'll have your answer.
exactly,
And yeah, and
exactly.
you touched on something else again, being that first woman and rising up. How have you dealt with having imposter syndrome, or that type of feeling where, man, I don't belong here. Like, I'm not qualified here. How have you, as a leader, grown into your roles?
I think if everyone is honest with themselves, there's always been a bit of imposter syndrome. And really to overcome that, you have to realize that you have a team around you for a reason. Nobody is going to do all of this stuff by themselves, and that ego piece, right? You've got to let that ego go, and the best thing you can do is put the smartest people around you, even if they're smarter than you are, and not feel badly about that, because everybody brings a different skill set to the table. Nobody is, I mean, we're not all robots, and so when you think about building a team, I don't have to be everything. I
Yeah.
have to make sure I have everything covered between me and that team.
Yeah.
And so that has been the biggest piece of getting over an imposter syndrome, is really getting over the ego that creates the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, right?
Was it Yeah, I'm curious, was it hard for you to give up things that maybe you were really good at and really like doing? But again, as you grow in an organization, especially big as Mosaic, you can't do everything. Was that a challenge for you, and how did you address
Oh,
it?
yes. Oh, yes. I
Yeah.
finally had to take Excel off my computer.
Really?
It's so funny because I mean, engineering background, data, data,
Yeah.
data, right? And I would literally, whenever I felt unsettled or maybe a little less confident in the direction we were headed, the first thing I wanted to do was dive into the data. And I had to learn that no, two things. I mean, one, if I dive into the data, it's going to be my answer, not the team's answer, and that's not the strongest position. The second thing is I don't teach anybody anything by that.
Yes.
And so the reality is, and I coached another gentleman that currently works for me today on this. I said, the point is that it's not that you have the answer. The point is what are you teaching these folks? So if you always have the answer and you never send somebody off to search for what that right answer is, they don't learn anything. You're not growing your team. You're not growing the strength of the company.
Yeah, it's that weird thing of, you have to almost hire your replacement, right? It's a
Right.
strange thing to think about, but you have to train them to know how to do what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, as we're winding down, Karen, I want to go back to the company. What's sort of the future role of Mosaic, as the supply chains get out of whack? They're always out of whack, but they seem to be very confusing, and logistics is a hard industry to be in, and you touch a lot of things. What's the future of Mosaic in this big space that you are in?
Well, the beauty of this company, this industry, is the fact that everybody needs to eat, and plants need to eat too. And so we will be cyclical. We've been cyclical forever, and times come and go. It's really about the resilience to get through the tough times so you can thrive in the good times. And I see a very bright future for Mosaic. I mean, we have a great product line. We have great passionate people that are standing behind that product line, and we have future businesses that we're working on, including our biosciences business, that are going to improve yields and make sure that the food supply for the world is even stronger going forward. So I see a very bright future. driven by a lot of very talented people at this company, which I'm proud to work with and for.
Yeah, and you touched on it. My last question was going to be, what are you looking forward to as we're recording here in midsummer 2026? What are you looking forward to the rest of the year, either personally or with the company?
I think that I do look forward to some of these supply chain challenges, maybe mitigating to a certain degree, although it may take a little longer than any of us would like. But the real piece behind that is what do we do in the interim? We may have some plants that aren't operating at maximum rates today. We've had to do some of that work, but how do we keep our employees engaged, and what opportunities are there to build and train these employees during this time?
Excellent. Karen Sway, our Executive Vice President of Operations for the Mosaic Company, thank you so much for joining us on From the Corner Office podcast.
Thank you. It was great to be here today.
Thank you for listening to the Business Observer From the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Mark Gordon. This podcast was produced by Reed Corley of the Corley Company in Sarasota. To hear more episodes of From the Corner Office podcast, go to businessobserverfl.com.